Hey guys, how's it going? It's Molly. I'm here today to do a 3 looks 1 palette first impressions styled video of the bPerfect Carnival Antidote palette. This is what the inside of the palette looks like. She is large and in charge. Now, typically with these videos, I prefer to do 3 looks 1 palette and a review. Now, because this palette has 45 shades, I have not been able to use every single shade, and I don't want to give a review on a palette that I have not truly used. You know what I mean? Like, I can say with confidence right now that I have a good idea of how this palette performs, but I don't know. So I'm going to just go ahead and post this video with the 3 looks. And then in a few weeks, once I've been able to use all of the shades and gotten an idea of how they perform, I will post a separate review and like maybe a swatch party video to go with it. So, yeah. She's beautiful. This is so pretty. I immediately saw this and just, I had to have it. It is such a incredible fall color story, and it's fall. Is today the first day of fall? The 20th? Or is it the 21st? I'm filming this on the 20th. I get the equinoxes confused with whatever that other thing is that happens. Anyway, the first day of fall is coming up, and fall is like the only season that I really feel a desire to change up my makeup. Yeah, I definitely am loving like warm tones and greens and grungy shades. I love it. So anyway, if you're curious about the 3 looks that I came up with using this palette, then just keep watching the video. Okay, so the first look that I'm gonna do is gonna be my first impression. I've never tried any of these. I've swatched them, but that is all that I've done. And I'm noticing that the palette is kind of split up into thirds. Like this third here is greens. This third here is gonna be more neutral shades. And this third here are more like fiery, sort of warm tones. So for today, I am wanting to play with the more fiery warm tones part of the palette. So I'm going to take, there's so much that I want to do. I'm going to take the shade Fall right here, and I'm going to use that as my transition shade. So far, this is blending out really well. Obviously, we'll have to see how other colors kind of play with it to make sure that it's not going to end up just a muddy mess, but I really don't think that's going to happen. I think that it's probably going to be a good product. I've heard wonderful things. Okay, and then I'm going to use a Sigma pointed crease brush for the next shade. I'm going to take the shade Cinnamon here to deepen up the crease. Okay, those 2 shades play really well together. Of course, I would kind of expect that. They're both warmer toned, obviously. I think you run the risk of getting muddy when you start mixing like warm tones and cool tones. Having a really hard time deciding between these shimmers. All right, I'm gonna do a halo eye with this shade here called Brass. It's kind of a fiery copper. And then I'm going to be putting Honey on the center of my lid. So I'm just gonna lay this down with my finger at first. Okay, and then I am going to take it on a Sigma brush. This is the E40. Is that what you are? E38 diffused crease. My bad. And just, yeah, sorry, popping that into the crease to help the transition a little bit. These shimmers are super buttery. They're just that really like dimethicone heavy shimmer. And I personally really like formulas like that. And then, yes, I'm going to take the shade Honey right here as the center lid shade. Just pop that on right there and overlap. And I am going to take some on a wet brush just to really amp up the center of the lid. And I'm taking a little bit on a wet brush just to really amp up the center of the lid. I like halo eyes like this where you're not using super, like a huge contrast between shades, where it's more of a subtle sort of gradient. I don't know, I've been really into it lately. All right, you guys, I'm gonna pop off to the rest of my face and I'll be back to show you the finished look. I didn't even wash my face this morning. Oops, I forgot. No, no. In the shade Scorcher. Okay, before I forget, let me tell you guys what I used for my base. Okay, you guys. And I decided that I want to film the lower lash line process. So, before I get started with that, though, I want to tell you what I used for my base makeup. I've got the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation. I've got the concealers that I've been using from Juvia's Place, and then there's a Moira concealer as well. My bronzer I've got on the Milk Baked bronzer. I've got highlight is Essence Pure Nude. I really enjoy that. Although I think I might have enjoyed it a little bit more when I was first getting into highlight. It is really subtle. And then my blush is the Alamar Cosmetics, the Color Up Blush Trio in the shade Scorcher. So it's just this like beautiful, shimmery, warm tone. Lip, I've got the Flower Beauty Powder Play lip color in the shade Tease. So, okay. There's hair in my nose. Okay. So, for the lower lash line, I decided that instead of repeating what I did up top, I want to play with some of the greens. So I'm going to see what happens if I just use the shade Clover along the lower lash line. Let me see. I'm gonna take it on a Sigma E30 pencil brush and see how that works. I don't know if I like this brush, to be honest. Either the shade isn't very pigmented or that brush doesn't disperse product the way that I'm wanting it to. Yeah, all right, I switched to the E54 medium sweeper from Sigma, and that seems to be working a little bit better here. I think the pencil brush might work okay to get it in like the lash line, but even then it doesn't really want to play. This shade just doesn't seem to be quite as, I don't know, I think I was expecting a little bit more pigment. Yeah, I don't know. I think this shade is maybe, the shade feels a little bit drier, but it's laying down, like it's building up on itself okay. Maybe. Okay, I'm getting it to work now. I think I was just maybe not getting enough product on my brush. It happens. Okay. My nose is doing some weird stuff. Okay, you guys, so here is the finished look for look number 1. I hope that you can see it. I hope I'm in frame. I honestly don't know. I should look. Hang on. Okay, you guys, so here's the finished look for look number 1. I actually really love this. I'm really loving the green underneath. Yeah, I'm into it. All right, stay tuned for look number 2. Okay, I'm ready to do look number 2. If you guys hear background noise, just know I've got a baby to the right of me eating breakfast, and my 10-year-old is back in his room playing Fortnite with a friend, and at times that gets kind of loud. So we're gonna see how this goes. If it's too obnoxious, I don't know. I might do a voiceover or put music to it, something. I'll try and get it to work. Okay, so I'm going to start, sorry, this palette is so big. But I'm gonna start with the shade Dusty right here and use that as a transition shade. I like this shade. It's just kind of like a grungy sort of transition shade. I don't know. I feel like it's going to pair really well with these greens. Okay, and then I'm going to take the shade Sable to deepen up the crease. And to do that, I'm going to take that Sigma E48 brush that I love so much. So much. These mattes, the impression that I'm getting is that I would say the pigmentation is somewhat of like a medium pigmentation, but they build up on themselves really well, so you can get more of an intense color payoff, which I really, honestly, that's the kind of matte that I prefer. They're maybe not as like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a brand whose mattes are just kind of impeccable. Like Sydney Grace, they're not as blendable, I guess, as some of the mattes that I enjoy using more. But I think for the price point, these mattes are pretty darn good. I really don't have anything, sorry, the baby's doing something funny. I don't have anything negative to say about them. You know, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's mattes that just kind of like blend themselves. These aren't that level by any means, but they're not bad. And I don't dislike them. Why don't I just say I like them? I like them. Good Lord. I'm not noticing any muddiness. They seem to, like, there's a clear distinction between the two shades, which is good. This line might be a little bit muddy, and I don't know why that is. That's weird. I didn't do anything different. I don't know why that would be, unless it's that this brush wasn't as clean as I thought that it was when I started using it. That could be what happened. Okay. Zeke, what should I do next? Okay, next I want to use the shade Antidote down here. It's just a really beautiful, intense, like indigo. Isn't that what the palette is called? The Antidote palette. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why, like, what is special about this shade? And I always just kind of buff it along my lower lash line when I'm using a darker shade. At least a lot of times I do. Just to kind of help make sure that it's a bit of a seamless sort of transition. So for this, hey man, chill. Chill. I don't know if I mentioned, I'm just deepening up the outer V with this. Okay. That got a little bit smokier than I meant for it to. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have done the neutrals. I'm going to church this morning. Then I'm going to use the shade Silvery right here on my lid. So we're just going to be doing like a more traditional sort of smoky eye. I always like to take this up into the crease. Oh, he's getting mad about something in Fortnite. I don't know if you hear that. This shade is incredible. Like, it's very foiled, and I don't feel like I'm needing to use a wet brush at all, which is awesome. All right, so that's where we're at so far. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my face, and I'll be right back to kind of show you guys the bottom lash line and the finished look. Okay, for the lower lash line, I'm going to use the shade Bon Bon. I had some of the Antidote shade like buffed along the lower lash line, and I tried to get as much of that off as possible. I was just gonna do a typical smoky eye where I kind of use the same shades that I used up top, but I decided why not play? It's such a big palette. So we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully it works out okay. Okay. We may need to do a deeper berry shade to get some color payoff. I don't know. Because this isn't really showing up. I wasn't sure how pigmented it was. Yeah, it's really not doing anything. Okay, back to square one. Let's go with, we'll try the shade right next to it, Sweet Cheeks. There we go. There we go. That's what I was wanting. More of like a pop, you know? Okay, yeah, that was definitely more of what I was wanting. I was wanting more of like a pop of pink. I was really hoping that this was going to be more of a like pop of bubblegum pink, and it just wasn't. Maybe bubblegum pink doesn't really pop. I feel though like you can get a really vibrant, intense color with bubblegum pink, but doesn't really matter because I'm liking this pairing here. I'm not going to do anything else with the lower lash line. I am going to try and get this to blend a little bit here. Don't fail me now. Okay. I know. That's what I said. Okay, guys, so here is the finished look for look number 2. I really like it. I know I say that like after every single look that I do. I promise you in real life that's not always the case. My base, the rest of my face is exactly the same as yesterday or as look number 1, except for my blush. I used this middle shade here from the Alamar palette. Lips, I ended up using the Flower Beauty powder play, the same lip that I used yesterday, but I topped it with the ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Feedback. No idea if that's still available, but I do really like it. So yeah, go ahead and stay tuned for look number 3 if you want to see it. Okay, you guys. I'm back for look number 3. I know the lighting is a little wonky. It's pretty early in the morning, way earlier than I normally film, so I don't have natural light, and I didn't feel like setting up my box lights. They take way too long. I have to get this done before the baby wakes up. So, also, if I seem groggy, it's because literally, I woke up 2 hours later than I normally do. Normally I wake up at 5. Today, I peacefully slept until 7. It was incredible. I feel like a new woman, but definitely have not caffeinated yet, so bear with me. I think for this look I want to focus on this row right here. So I'm definitely wanting to be more in this middle third of the palette. It's just got more like softer, subtle sort of shades, and I think it's a good way to show how wearable the palette is. And why don't I just go ahead and get started? Sorry, I don't know which way is up. All right, for my transition shade, I'm gonna use the shade Dusty Rose. I don't really mess with shades like this. They just, I don't know. They just don't really do it for me. Although I could totally see myself using that shade. Sorry, the shade I'm talking about is Dove. It's that like just matte cream. I could see myself using that to kind of blend some of these out. Because while the mattes are like, they're blendable, but they're not perfect. Some have been somewhat patchy. So having a shade like this to help blend them out is actually really, really nice. Yeah, I just used the matte cream to kind of work with Dusty Rose, and I'm already noticing that it really does help to blend things out. So that is nice that that's in the palette. And there isn't really a shade that I would want to take in my crease to deepen that up. So I might just take that in my crease, but on a different brush. So again, on the Sigma E48. And just help that kind of intensify itself, which it definitely did that if you look at the difference. Because there is this this matte brown, but I feel like that's going to make this look more intense than what I'm wanting. I'm just wanting something relatively soft and romantic. And then on I haven't been telling you my brushes consistently, but this is a Delium Tool 776. I really like this to pack on and buff out shades on the outer V. So now I am going to take that matte brown. It's called Chestnut. And I'm going to take that just on the outer portion. Sorry, my speech gets really choppy when I'm concentrating. I noticed I was going back and looking at some of my old videos and I was like, oh my gosh, just spit it out. I'm trying to work on it. Okay, anyway. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I really like this shade. I thought it was going to be more cool tone. It's definitely a cool tone brown, but I thought it was going to lean even more cool tone, which is probably just because my lighting is not good. I can't even see what I'm doing. And then for my lid shade, I'm going to use the shade Elixir right here. This is really pretty. This is a gorgeous like pink shimmer, just a really warm pink shimmer. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm feeling this. Oh my gosh. Holy foiled shades. I feel like this palette would be fun to do a palette bingo with. I could see myself doing that here. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my face and I'll be right back. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed, I hope that you will give me a thumbs up, subscribe before you go, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.